My name is Patricia. I'm the production manager on the narrative team for Rainbow Six Siege.
My name is Frank, and I'm a storyboard artist on Rainbow Six Siege.
My name is Marielle. I lead the narrative team.
Hi, I'm Pete. I'm a writer on Rainbow Six Siege. We're the Rainbow Six Siege narrative team. Our role, I guess, within Siege is to, any place we can, is to help out with story, add some extra narrative oomph. And that's what we love to do, because we're storytellers, and I think the whole team at Siege are inherently passionate about stories, so whenever we can, we like to tell stories.
I think it's interesting too to do that, right? To try to figure out a way to pull out every single part of where you can add as much story as you can in a game where you can't really focus on story.
Yeah.
Even though you'd like to have more of everything, you can't. At the beginning, it was a blank canvas, right? And there were no operators and nothing existed. And
So it was an original IP-ish that you were creating, like,
Yeah, it was original, and there were so many gadget ideas that people, like, timing of how gadgets functioned and everything at the beginning was very, like, loose. So it was very easy to explore a lot of stuff, the looks, the feel of the intro videos that each operator had back then when we had their kind of vignettes, their personal vignettes. And then once we started going more with animes and all the other trend marketing stuff, it felt a lot more narrative driven and a lot more story focused than rather just like, what's a cool functionality or what's a cool style.
Our transmedia strategy, right, is super ambitious. We have a year-long meta story that we create, and then that year-long meta story is broken up into seasons, season 1, 2, 3, and 4, where we introduce new characters, and then our narrative actually gets told through our seasonal assets. And those seasonal assets are the anime, our narrative pages, we've got in-game events, MTX sometimes, we try and tie narrative into that. We literally infuse narrative wherever we can.
Every single season, it's always the same routine. It always starts with the same thing, one pager. Who's the character, personality, background, culture. But even before we can actually have that operator, we need to know what's the gadget, what's the country. Once we have that, we can start working on the bio. Once we have that bio, all right, we can go casting. But before casting, then we start working on the anime. Yes, the season is 3 months, but doing an anime is like 6 months.
When you're working on an anime, you're going to see it go through an enormous amount of stages of production, right? So we're starting with a high-level concept, and we're developing that through a synopsis, into a script, with storyboards, through several iterations, getting feedback from all of the other teams and incorporating it. And then we go into production, and we're working with an external service provider, so we're having multiple iterations with them. We're seeing dailies probably every week of how the asset is progressing. And then our audio team does a sound pass on it, and our audio director works with a composer and does a music pass, right? And so when those elements start coming together, and all of a sudden you see the vision that you had come to life, and it works, and you're like, like, we nailed it.
Yeah.
It's a great feeling.
Yeah.
Something else that's incredibly rewarding on this team is getting in a room and being like, okay, what if? What if we do this? And just working from there and like banging it back and forth until we have something.
I think that's how you get the best stuff too.
For our characters in Siege, dying is not the worst thing. Dying, or the possibility of dying, is part of their everyday lives.
Right.
So the actual worst things for our characters is not death.
Failure.
It's not their own life. There's other things that matter more to them, and it's figuring out what that is for each character that makes those characters come to life. In Brava's case, what's interesting is that she is such a high-level performer as a counter-terrorism agent. You know, as an operator, she's amazing at what she does. To get to that level, some of the story we've explored with her is that it came at a personal cost. So I think that conflict for her is what's what justifies success, mission success. And in one of our assets, we put her through the ringer. We make her have to make a choice between mission success and another form of success or failure that would be worse than her own life.
On the Solas anime, so Solas was year 7, season 4. We were having a difficulty in a part of the anime getting some context across. So the fact that it was Solas that was blowing up the drones. And I think by mistake somebody mentioned something about finger guns, and it just fixed everything, and it made everything make sense, and it worked really well, and it worked really well with the character. And I think that the community is loving it, which is really cool. But that came from something that wasn't quite working, and it was a problem for us on the production, and yeah. So that was a
interesting solution, creative solutions.
Because we're hundreds of people on our game, there are so many ideas floating in the air. Amazing ideas that we want to draw from. So it's so fascinating on a daily basis to just like see what's there in our sandbox. And like you said, you know, the lines are always moving. The creative process is changing from operator to operator, month to month, season to season. And that's part of the fun and the challenge, I think, is collaborating with other teams, you know.
If I can add to that, I remember, I think it was for Brava and for Solas, we were contacted by people on the floor having that background, being like, can we actually look into it? We would like to share our knowledge and what we know about that culture, and be like, you know what, this is great. So we basically exchanged like the visual, the script, what we had, like, what do you think of this? We have somebody on the floor that can actually help us out, which is not in the narrative team, which is amazing.
I remember when I was working on Brava, like I wanted to have a story being told in Brazil, in a natural setting, so my non-Brazilian ignorant mind went, let's do it in the jungle. And then I was like, you know, someone on our marketing team who is Brazilian was like, knock knock, love the Brazilian jungle, it's awesome, I love that you're telling a story, but can we explore something else?
It is very important for us to consult whenever it is necessary, and it's often necessary. It allows us to get a viewpoint from a consultant expert on the topic that we are touching. It could be country, it could be anything to do with sexual orientation, to non-binary, to a trans character, and ethnicity. For example, for Thunderbird season, we had heavy consultation. That was a First Nations character from Canada. And so anywhere where we don't have the expertise, we're going to consult. Our year-end CGI comes to kind of cap off the narrative of our year-long meta story, and it also kicks off the following year's story, so it acts as a story engine to launch us into that next year's story.
The CGI for SI this year that everyone's watched already, right? Probably at this point. We got to do a total departure from what we used to do on Rainbow for so long, so it's nice to finally open up the world and get to explore new things with operators and have real stakes, and to push the story in a direction where no one's gonna really know what's coming.